introduce tonight's speaker. This gentleman's name is Tony Devine, and he claims to know more about what you're thinking than you do.
Go ahead, I'll wait. I'm going to walk around and view for a minute. My name is Tony. I've been doing this on and off for almost my entire life. In fact, part of what I'm going to show you tonight is just going to be kind of an introduction for you, not only to me, but to an art that we call magic, which I'm not really sure is a good name for it. It is a form of entertainment that did not start that way. It started as, I'm not exactly sure how you'd want to classify this without making some people very, very upset. It was originally done by the priestcraft. In fact, even in the Old Testament of the Bible, it has Moses dueling with the temple priest and turning walking sticks into cobra snakes, which I've actually seen performed in India not too long ago. So it was known even way back then. And it often led to people being put to death later on as witches or sorcerers, until a man in about 1400 by the name of Walter Scott wrote a book called The Discovery of Witchcraft, in which he exposed most of the secrets and was nearly put to death for doing that himself. So it's a very strange form of whatever we want to call it. Nowadays, I think it's mostly considered to be a performance art, and that's certainly how I consider it. Before I get started, I kind of want to give you an idea of how I approach this, because I've never done this sort of thing before, and I wasn't really sure the best way to approach it. So I came up with an idea that instead of trying to decide, I would just come up with 6 ways to approach it, and generally just let the die here decide. So I'm going to ask this lady who I've met before, if you wouldn't mind, join me up here, mainly because you're gorgeous and I think you should be in my video. There was a book written in the 1970s called The Dice Man, and in this book, this gentleman became psychopathic by turning over all of his decisions to the roll of a die. I'm going to do that right now. Before the show, I wrote 6 things down, how I was going to treat various audience members in this audience tonight, and I'm going to let you decide what it shall be. You'll notice. You'll notice that in this little case I have cards with pictures of dice on them, each with a different number. There's only 6 possibilities there, but I want to tell you, roll it 2 or 3 times so that you can be sure that it's not loaded in any way. That's great. It didn't even fall off the table. It's not anything at all like the day before yesterday. Do that one more time. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, the next one, whatever comes up, that's the one you're stuck with, okay?
Okay. It's not going to be a death card, right?
Let's hope. That's a 6. That's pretty good. That's a 6. Now, obviously, it didn't have to be the 6. It could have been the 1. Whoops, got 2 1s in there. Could have been the 1, the 2, the 3, the 4, or the 5.
Yes.
I'll put these back over here. Got them time to set. This way you can see where we're going with this. All right, and I'll put this in order here. You rolled a 6. Whatever it says on the back of this card, that's what I'm going to have to do to you.
Okay. Whoa. Oh, yay! Be nice.
It could have been worse. It could have been way worse, actually.
Oh, there was a kill.
Oh, there's 2 of them.
All of them.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Look at this.
I'm so glad you rolled a 6.
Yes.
You may take your seat. Let's give her a round of applause.
And thank you for not killing me.
Yeah, it would be terrible. I wouldn't want to go through another night like last night. So now you kind of have an idea of my approach to this, which is very, very different from anybody else I've ever seen. And I've traveled pretty much all over various parts of the world. I worked on cruise ships for a long time, and I've had the pleasure of meeting an awful lot of very influential people in the world of magic. And the interesting thing about my world, the world that I've lived in for almost 50 years now, the people that really have a tremendous impact are almost completely unknown by the public. The people that you see on TV are much like anchormen for the most part. They're selected by their appearance, their looks, all kinds of other things, and not necessarily by any talent they might have for what it is that they're actually doing. I'm not negating that they've got talent, but it's just not really what changes the world that I live in. I'll show you what I mean here in a minute. How many of you, just out of curiosity, well, you don't really need to raise your hand, but I think I could guess that at least at some point in your life, you have read an astrology column. Probably more than once. Some people review it every day. In fact, I've been recently listening to some of the old Douglas Adams books, the guy that wrote Doctor Who and what was the Life, the Universe, and Everything, the Restaurant at the End of the Universe. He wrote a whole bunch of books. Great, great writer. And he had a conversation between a newscaster and an astrologer that was really fascinating. Now, some of you have probably even gone so far as to have your fortune told. But I almost can guarantee once again that if I asked you about those kind of situations in your life, you would most of the time say that you did it for fun. It was just for fun. Just take it as light entertainment. But it hasn't always been that way. But I could pretty much guarantee that most of you in this room have never been to a seance. I have been, both real and theatrical, but had we been alive in about 1850, most of us at that point in time would have gone to a seance. It was that popular a movement back then. Now, the theatrical seance I went to was performed, of all places, at the Playboy Club in Chicago. I know that sounds a little strange, but Christina Hefner is a deep connoisseur of the arts, and there was a gentleman in Chicago, he's still there, he's in his late 70s. He looks like Santa Claus, long gray beard, little circular glasses, Orson Welles kind of voice. And in my opinion, he's one of those people I was telling you about, one of the greatest magicians in the world that you've never heard of. His name is Eugene Berger, and Christina Hefner was so enthralled with him, she offered him a room at the Playboy Club free of charge, that he could set up any way he wanted to, charge admission, and keep the entire gate. Well, Eugene lives quite well, so he took advantage of that, and on one of those evenings, I got to see his seance. And I have to tell you, that is probably the most terrifying event I've ever had in my life. Literally, the hairs on the back of my neck stood up. When they brought you into the room, there was two giant men that led you in. Neither one said a word. There was no lights in the room except candle lights, no windows. And they seated you separate from everybody you knew. If a couple came in, one would go that way, one would go that way. So there could be no one near you that you had any contact with before that seating. And as Eugene's show went on, each candle was dimmed until at the end, when the spirits were set to manifest in the room, all the lights were out, and things began to materialize. How much of it was your imagination? I have no idea. But people started to scream. And in a darkened room with 150 people screaming at the top of their lungs, it is very unnerving. Now, I'm not going to put you folks through that. But I'm going to show you something that Eugene was nice enough to give me, because he gave me this pair of very small slates, much like the spiritualists used back in the 1850s. They're just chalkboard slates. And I'll show you kind of what they did. And I need another volunteer here. I'm going to pick on the young people because they got better eyes. How about you? You'll qualify for young as far as I'm concerned. Come on. How are you today?
Just fine.
What's your name?
Mabry.
My name's Tony.
Tony, nice to meet you.
Mabry, I have these little slates here. which you may have or may not have ever seen anything quite
No, I
like that.
really
I'll
haven't.
get to that there in a second. But you'll notice they have been used in the past. And along with these slates, I've also brought some cards with the names of some well-known, at least to me and maybe you,
Yep.
magicians. This gentleman would have been very well known. His name was Harry Houdini. That wasn't his real name. It was Andrew Weiss. Houdini took his name from another magician who's also in here, who was named Robert Houdin. Now, Robert Houdin was one of those men that actually changed magic, and a man unlike Houdini that the public never heard of. But he changed everything during his lifetime. So he's here in my collection. Now, some of these magicians that are all here, there's about 30 of them. Some of them are men I actually knew during my travels. Don Allen was also from Chicago. He had a television show on for a short period of time called The Magic World of Don Allen. Probably the most entertaining close-up magician I ever saw. Chung Ling Soo was the magician who was actually not Chinese. He worked as a Chinese gentleman, so he was an actor as well as a magical performer. And his claim to fame was catching bullets in his teeth, which is a very dangerous stunt to pull off. I think 31 different magicians over the course of about 20 years got killed performing that effect. Once because the guy successfully caught the bullet, and a whole bunch of guys in the back of the room said, "Here, catch these," and they all just started shooting at him at the same time. Not probably a good idea. Here's another gentleman most of you will have never heard of. His name was Irv Weiner. Irv was another white bearded gentleman, much like a Santa Claus character, and he went by the stage name Mr. Fingers. Now, that kind of stage name would make you think that perhaps he was extraordinarily dexterous with his hands, but that wasn't why he was named Mr. Fingers. He was raised by deaf parents. Both of his parents were deaf. And so he learned to sign before he learned to speak. And that followed him through his life. Even when he was speaking years later, you'd often catch him signing out what he was saying. But he was an absolutely wonderful man, a wonderful performer, and a wonderful teacher. Another wonderful teacher I had was a man by the name of Maurice Fogel. Fogel was the best performer of mind-reading effects that I ever saw. He was so good, in fact, that he offered to sell the CIA the secrets to reading the Russians' mind. And they came to one of his shows, watched him work, and offered him $3 million. This was in 1952. He went to their office, performed for the president and some of the other people behind closed doors, and then refused their offer and told them to wake up. So I'm not really sure he made himself popular that way. Alexander Herman, another man. Albert Goshman. If you've ever seen any performers, and I know you've probably seen some of the shows that are on TV now, where magicians are performing with little red balls made out of sponge, Goshman was the man that created that effect. So once again, a man that created the effect you hardly ever know. Robert Houdin, the man I told you about, that Houdini took his name from. I have Al Mann, Al Coran, and a whole bunch of them. I'm going to ask you to choose one of these for me for our little experiment with these slates. And the way I've decided that we'll do this, let's just sort of cut them like this. And I'm going to just sort of push the cards across, and you just tell me when to stop. Right there. I'll turn them over right where you said stop. Let's do that one more time so people will know we're not colluding. Just tell me when to stop.
A second one then?
They're kind of going in clumps, but where did you want me to stop?
Right there.
Right here. All right. Now, whatever the top card is that's now face down, that's the one we'll use because I don't want to see it just yet, but I want you to. If you have problems reading that one, let me know and you can choose a different card. Take a look at it. Can you read what it says on there?
I can.
You may not know how to pronounce it because some of these gentlemen were from other countries, but whatever that is, let's see, first of all, we need to clean these up a little bit. I have an eraser here somewhere. Ah, here it is. All right, that's all right. Now, I will use this variable tension gripper. Put these two slates together. Well, this is a cheap one. It's called rubber band. All right, fair enough? Nothing can get in and nothing can get out. I have a little piece of chalk right here. I think that'll be small enough. I will place it in between the two slates, thusly, mostly chalk powder, so we may not get a real good image. All right. For the first time, would you tell us all the name of the gentleman you're holding? And I should point out that all of these gentlemen are now deceased. They're all magicians, so I think they would be more than happy to manifest their powers here for us this evening. What's the name?
Di Vernon.
Di Vernon. Now that's a man that George would know, because George often calls me the professor, and that's what people called Di Vernon during his lifetime. So that's an interesting coincidence. Let's see what we've got here. Do we have a message? Ah, the initials, DV, for Di Vernon. And I thank you very much for coming up here to help me.
Thank you. You're welcome.
I'm going to work with a pair now. Let's see if I can find one. You, I definitely know. The lady next to you, have you known her for a while? Would the two of you mind standing right here for me just a second? You don't need to come all the way up. Just right to here. And with your help, I'd like to try to create a coincidence. I would like you to imagine you're in a motion picture theater with a large white screen in front of you. There's nothing on the screen, it's just blank and it's white. And I want you to think of a famous person. I would prefer this to be a person of fame that most, if not all of us in the room would know by name if we just saw their face. That could be a movie star, it could be a politician, it could be a sports figure. I really don't care, but someone that we would all pretty much know just by visual appearance. And while she's doing that, I'm going to ask you, in your mind, to make a blank screen. But rather than to think of a famous person, I'd like you to think of a famous place. By famous, I mean one that we would mostly, by just hearing the name, have some sort of a visual image of what this place might look like. Okay? You have a place in mind, you have a person in mind. I have some pieces of paper here and a couple of pens. I'll give each one of you one of these. And here's a little cardboard for you, which I think you'll find out after you fold it back up, it's impossible to see anything through. And would you take this one? I'll step away. Please write down, or print, might be better to print, somebody else will probably read it. Print the name of the person that you have in mind, and would you print the name of the place that you have in mind? And once you've done that, fold them back up, hold them up to the light, what light there is in here, and verify that it's not possible for you to see through them. Fair enough? All right. Yeah, go ahead and fold it that one last time for me.
Okay.
And would you hand yours to her, please? No. You hold on to both of them. Yeah, there you go. Put them behind your back and mix them around so that even you have no idea which one is which. And I'm going to ask you, if that is your real name.
Yes.
Hold on to that for me. You have both pieces of paper in your hand. In a moment, I'm going to ask you to hand one to me. Whichever one you hand me, that one will be eliminated. All right? So weigh your decision carefully. It could be yours, it could be hers, we don't know. But that way we'll have a target of either a place or a name that no one in this room will know. All right? Hand me either one. Good enough. It could be the name, it could be the place. We'll find out. But before we do, I'm going to destroy this one. I could be burning the name. I could be burning the place. In fact, I think I'm burning my fingers. That's fine, probably good enough. I don't know that that's going to burn, but we'll just leave it there and hope that it does. You don't know what you have in your hand right now, do you?
I do not.
All right. The first thing that comes to my mind is colors. Some very bright colors. And that may be because of where I am right now. I never can tell. And also a very distinctive sound quality that's going on here now. I'm going to write something down. Hopefully it might mean something. We'll see here in a second. Well, that's kind of trapped in there. This is a person, I believe, with a very unique voice. That came to me and certainly a very colorful personality and performer. My handwriting at this point in time is horrible. So George, I'm going to give this to you. I don't. I was going to see if I had a magnifying glass, but can you kind of read my scribbles? Don't say anything out loud. Don't say anything like, can you read it?
Not very well.
Not very well. Well, hopefully we'll be able to get some cooperation, and this will be close enough. At least I hope so. This is a woman. Let me have the piece of paper, and we'll check it out right now. This is a woman, I believe, an actress. Once again, a departed person, associated with some political types, often sang in a baby doll voice, if I've got this right, and I do. Marilyn Monroe, is that what you wrote? Thank you very much. We burned the place. But let's try something. Would I be correct to say this is a place inside the United States? In my mind, at least, it is associated with historical fiction by the same gentleman that wrote the Da Vinci Code. He wrote a book about the Freemasons, which had a tremendous influence on the founding of this country. Have you been to this city? Have you been to the underground part of it? No. You ever seen the portrait of George Washington ascending to godhood as Zeus? You missed that one, huh? It's there. And I hope I've got this right. What's the place you have in mind? Does that look right? Come in here for just 1 second, please, and stand right over here in the light. Let's try something else. I brought along some books, and I'm going to ask people to come up here and join me in the light because I already tested this out. And in the dark, it's very difficult for people to read at all. So it did burn up, didn't it? Wow, you're a patient guy. What we're going to do is this. I'm going to sort of riffle through the pages of the book like this. Okay. At some point, I would like you just to say stop. Okay. All right? Stop. Can you see the very first word? Take the book. It ends in ing. That's all I got, right? Is that right? Yes. Pleading. Correct. Thank you very much. Come here. Stand right here. same thing again. Just tell me when to stop. And don't stop on the same page because that would be very embarrassing. Can you see the very first word?
Yep.
Take the book. Go back to your seat with it. You're more difficult to read and not nearly as much fun to look at. But your word is others, right?
Correct.
All right. Come here, George. I won't keep you for very long. All I want you to do is choose a page number for me.
Okay.
Okay, here's how we're going to do it. I'll just riffle along like this, or you can do it. Just open the book to any page, I don't care.
Okay.
And what page number, do you want this one or this one?
This one.
Call it out loud. Which one is it? Can you see?
97.
97. You still got that book? Open to page 97 if you would. Now, I'm nowhere near you now.
Correct.
Read the first word on that page silently to yourself. There's a U, right? Utilities. I'm not getting that.
What page number?
Wait,
97.
97.
Sorry.
That's okay. I was getting a blur. I was going to just stop right there, but that's fine.
Utilities.
Utilities is on 97. Okay, I got there in front of you, didn't I? That's even better than what I thought I was going to be able to do. Let's try this. Let's see. This is one of my all-time favorite books right here. George, I'll let you take that book and just go sit down for me,
Okay.
if you wouldn't mind. This is a book almost all of you would know by a lady by the name of Agatha Christie. And I will let you do the same thing for George that George did for you. But we'll do it this way. Just open the book somewhere close to the middle and just hold it up where he can see the pages. And I won't even know what the pages are this way.
Do I choose one?
Choose one or the other, I don't really
Okay.
care.
I have.
All right? The only thing I need to know from you right now is if you open that book to that page, can you, in fact, read some of the words there? Would you want to take a look? Any of you that have not read that book, I suggest that you do because it's quite wonderful. It's called How I Found Freedom in an Unfree World.
Okay.
Are you on the left page or the right page?
I'm on the right page.
You're on the right page. I want you to go all the way down to the bottom of that page and just look at the very last word. Can you read that word just silently to yourself?
I am.
All right, I'm not really clear on that one. Let's try this again. Scan your eyes back up to the very top of the opposite page and read the first, say, 2 or 3 sentences there. Let me see if I can kind of hone in on how you're thinking tonight. Does this have something to do with governments?
Yes.
It does? It does. Now, I can't get this sort of thing word for word, but I will try to give you a gist of what I think is there. It says something to the effect that governments cannot protect you. They can only persecute the people that wronged you and take your money in exchange. Is it something like that?
Yeah.
All right.
Governments don't protect you. They can't. All they can do is promise to make the person who hurts you pay for his crime. I'm sorry, I don't have my glasses.
That's fine. I think I'll take that as a hit, George. Let's go back to that very first word I asked you to look at on the bottom of the page that
Okay,
you
let
chose.
me go back to it. I just closed the book.
I think
But
that
I do
was.
remember the page.
That's good. All right. Can you get down to that word?
There.
It's a fairly long word. Would that be correct?
See?
Not terribly long, but a fairly long word.
Yes.
This starts with a C.
Yes.
Yes. George, I want to ask you to strain your eyes just a little bit more, because I'd really like to get this, because it's as far as I'm going to go with the books. Take the dictionary for me And look up that word in the dictionary.
Oh my God.
Well, it's a big print. It's a big print.
That's good.
It's a very big print. You should
If
have
I knew I was
no trouble.
gonna be doing this, I would have brought my glasses.
Yeah, I can read better than he can, and I'm not even looking. Let me know when you found it.
Yeah. Good luck on that.
Is there a problem?
No, I'm just
Is
trying.
the second letter an O?
Yes.
And there's a T there, I believe.
Yes.
Yes. Have you found it in the dictionary?
No.
No. George, what's the word you're not able to find in that dictionary?
Competitor.
Is it something like compete or competition, something like that? What's the word?
It's competitor.
Competitor. Well, that's close. George, turn to the back page of that dictionary, and you'll find one of my business cards has been stuck right there in the back. You see it there?
Yeah.
All right. Take it out of the book, turn it over, and out loud, if you possibly can, read what I wrote there a couple of days ago.
For future reference, the word competitor is not in this dictionary. No wonder. I thought it was my eyes. My eyes. Okay.
Against my better judgment, I'm going to attempt one more little thing for you guys this evening because I have worked on it so hard. I had an eye infection the first part of this week, so I cannot guarantee the success, but since I have had a little bit of success prior to this, I'll take a chance on this one. And I'm going to ask if the two ladies in the back that helped me before, would you two come up here and help me one more time, please? Let's give them a generous round of applause. And I'll ask you to come around on this side, and you to come around on this side. Is that you?
It's kind of.
I brought along with me a pack of playing cards. I'm really happy with cards. I think they're a metaphor for almost everything in life, but I brought along some other things that are a little bit more unusual. A long strip of cloth, which I'm going to use as a makeshift blindfold. Two very old $50. These are actually made out of silver. They have Benjamin Franklin on them. And a couple of handkerchiefs that I've rolled up just to kind of make pads. I'm going to take my glasses off, and when I do, I can assure you that I can no longer see anything, or very little. And here's what we're going to do. I'm going to place a coin into the socket of my eye like this. And I'll ask you to take this pad, fold it in half, and place it right on top of the coin. And just kind of hold it there. Okay, that's perfect. That's perfect. And I'll ask you to do the same. I'll take this coin, place it in my eye, take that pad, fold it in half, if you wouldn't mind, and place it right over the coin. And could you reach down there and pick up that long piece of cloth for me? And I'll turn around like this. And would you put that over my head and in front of my eyes?
So I should be giving you this.
I can't see you, so I don't know what you're doing.
You need the pad before the call.
Oh, yeah, we need the pad there.
Yeah.
All right, that's perfect.
Okay.
Now, you got the
Now,
cloth?
I do.
You do, okay. Over my head, in front of my eyes, pull it fairly tight so this stuff will not fall out, and tie a knot there for me. Have you got that? Oh, that's perfect. I can still breathe. Now, if you would, reach up and feel that coin right there so you can verify it's right over the socket of my eye, true?
Yeah.
So even if I wasn't as blind as I am, I'd be foolish to try to open that eye right now, wouldn't I?
Yeah.
And would you do the same thing for me?
Yes.
Now, there should be a pack of playing cards on the table there. Would you hand those to me so I don't have to fish around for them? All right. Are you familiar with cards?
Somewhat.
A little bit. You don't have to be very familiar. And you don't have to do what happened the other day. I'm not going to ask or insist that you drop any of them on the floor. It does create a lot of thunderous laughter, and I kind of enjoy it. But in this case, I'm going to try to coach you through this.
Okay.
I'm going to ask you to shuffle these cards, and it's a particular method of shuffling, which is a real legitimate shuffle, but the reason I'd like you to do it that way is so everyone here, including the gentleman that's now videotaping this, will be able to see that the cards are genuinely being shuffled. And here's how to do it. This is very easy. You hold them like this, and you just pull cards off in clumps. Just take your time. If you try to pull too many off real fast, they'll tend to flip over and fall out of your hand.
Okay.
So can you do that for me?
I can.
All right, thank you. And let me know when you're finished by just putting the cards back in my hand. Okay, are you satisfied with your shuffle?
Yes.
All right, perfect. I'm going to ask you, have I got the cards face up or face down?
Face down.
They're face down. Reach in there for me and take out any card that you want, but don't let anybody see it but yourself for the time being. Have you done that?
Yeah.
I want you to stare at that card.
Okay.
And if you wouldn't mind, place your card back right there for me. Take the cards in your own hand. Cut about half of the deck from the top and put it on the bottom. Have you done that?
I have.
All right. Take a smaller amount from the top, put it to the bottom. Now cut them anywhere, large or small, from the top and put them on the bottom. And then hand the cards back to me. I need to guide my hand down here to the tabletop. Now I'm going to spread them out like this because sometimes people think that I can somehow judge where the cards have been cut. But I assure you I cannot see anything. And I'm going to try to do this just with a sense of touch. And the cards are a little bit sticky tonight, but we'll try it. A moment ago you were staring at a card. What was the card you were staring at?
8 of hearts.
And what is this card?
4 of spades.
4 of spades. I didn't quite get it, did I? Hey, I told you this was tough. Give it a try. Have I still got the cards here in front of me?
Yes.
All right. Oop. Well, did I drop some of them?
Yeah, there you go.
Maybe I'll have enough left in my hand. Give it another shot here. Have we got any left?
There we go.
I'm not really getting the kind of sense that I'd like to have. If this doesn't work, we'll try it again in a slightly different way. The card was a red card, right? I can't remember what you told me.
Yes.
Have I at least got a red card?
You have the card.
I have the card. All right. Were you happy with her shuffle?
Yes.
Would you give another shuffle for me, please?
Sure. Now that I've got the hang of it.
Okay, you do. See, I have cynics that I work for at times, and when I do something like this, the first thought that would occur that would make this very easy is that since I didn't actually let you see any of the cards except just the one you took, the easiest way for me to perform this would be just to have a deck of cards that was all the same card. Would you hand me the deck? But I think you can see with your own eyes that they are in fact different from one another, true?
Right.
And you've mixed them yourself, so you know they're well mixed. All right. This time, I'd like you to reach in there and take one out that you can see. You got one? All right. Show it to the people over on this side of the room. And then place it back for me. Take the cards. Take about half of the cards off the top and put them on the bottom. Then take a smaller batch of cards from the top and put it on the bottom. And then take a pack of cards of any size. That way there's no possibility that I could have any idea even where in the deck your card might be.
All right.
And once you've done that, just hand them to me. And once again, I'm going to show them to you. Now, I think you'll agree with me, if you think about it, that if I had the blindfold removed, there is a possibility that while I was showing you the cards, if you saw the card you were thinking of, you might react to it in some way. your eyes might change, your pupils might get slightly larger.
Right.
You might take a breath, this sort of thing. I want you to try to curb that, what we might call a tell in poker. Try to keep a poker face even though I can't see you, and I'm going to do my best to not even look in your direction. But I want you to look at the cards, and when you see the card that you were thinking of a moment ago, I just want you to think, that's my card. But say nothing until I ask you. I'd like a yes or no answer at this moment. Have you seen your card?
Yes.
Because I felt like I was going on just a little bit long. How many cards have I laid down here in front of me?
3, I think.
There's 3. Oh, there went one of the coins, but I guess, trust me, you know what was there. Now, I don't know for sure, but I'm going to chance it. I have a strong feeling that one of these cards is your card. Don't say anything to me just yet, but take a look at this one. No, that's not your card, I don't believe. This one? No. What was the card you were thinking of?
5 of hearts.
Now, what's this card?
5 of hearts.
Would you put those cards all back together for me, please?
I'm kind of liking this job.
Once again, you'll trust her shuffling?
I will, yes,
All right. I'm going to ask you to help me just one more time, because no matter, even though the coin fell out, and so I could maybe theoretically see with this eye, although I promise you I can't. Are we through here? There still might be some people that have a suspicion that somehow or another I can see. So let's try this one last time. Take out, just to make it a little bit easier for me, if you wouldn't mind, take out a low value card rather than a picture card, not a court card, but just a small number card. And let me know when you've done that. Have you got one?
I do.
All right, place it back there for me. And immediately take the cards, give them a cut, and another cut, and a final cut. And when you've done that, place them back in my hand. Now, I think you'll agree with me, even those of you that are very cynical, that even if I could see, it would do me no good if I put the cards in my pocket. Because that way, there is no possibility of me being able to see anything. True enough? Was it a black card?
No.
What was the name of your card?
The name.
What?
The name?
Yes.
It was 4
4?
of diamonds. And that's it.
Would you mind stepping around behind me and loosening up the blindfold for me? Thank you. Oh, give me just a second for my vision to come back. We just set them here. Let's try one last little test, if you wouldn't mind. I'd like you to reach over here. Oh, I'll hold them up like this. It'll be easier for you. If I ask you to pick up the whole deck, you can do that easily, right? Mm-hmm. Or even a half a deck. Most people could judge that. But I'm going to ask you to use your judgment here and take about a quarter of the deck, just a small batch of cards. Let me know when you've got that.
Okay.
Kind of step in front of me and hold the cards like this so that I couldn't see the cards. And you can stand right there and face that direction if you wouldn't mind, because I don't want to be accused of seeing anything. All right? And I'm going to ask you, if you wouldn't mind, to just grab about 4 or 5 cards in a bunch from anywhere in there. Got some?
Yes.
All right. We're going to try this. Just wave your hands up and down like this for me. And I'm going to try to get a sense of the number. I'm really just not getting anything at all. I'll look away. Turn the top card in your hand over face up for me.
Face up.
So
on the
you can
deck?
see it, I don't want to see it.
Okay. All right. Got it.
Is it, I really want to get a vision of the color, so help me out just a bit. Is it a black card or a red card?
Black.
It's a black card. Would you consider it a high value card?
Yes.
I'm going to say that's the ace of spades. Is that right? Hand it to me. And when you look at your cards, because I look at your cards, and you have another black card there, small value, the 3 of spades. You have a 3 of spades? No, I'm talking about you.
On the next card I pull up here.
Is it? I don't know if it's the next card. I'm just assuming you've got
Yeah.
a 3 of spades. Do you?
Yes, I do.
All right. Let me try for one of yours, and then I think I'm going to quit because I'm starting to sweat. Let's go for a red card. Focus on just the red cards for me for a moment. You have a picture card there. It's a heart. Is that right?
Correct.